I'm here again in Tanzania, in the heart of Africa. I seriously have no idea where I'm at. It has been one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I just got finished passing out food. All these people came from this village, and they're holding their bags, and we're pouring buckets of corn into these bags. And they are so grateful for anything. I mean, they're scraping up every little kernel they can get, and it's very humbling. It makes me feel extremely, extremely grateful. But you know, it makes me think about years ago when I was going through such turmoil in my own life. I mean, there was a major war going on inside me. God's will or my will. And I mean, the fight was on. And I remember hearing this phrase. It said, somebody in need is waiting on the other side of your obedience. Someone in need is waiting on the other side of your obedience. And I remember thinking, nobody's ever going to need me or my encouragement or wait for me. But when I think about even what I'm going through today, the fact that I'm here in Africa helping people, and I think if I hadn't finally obeyed God and chosen His will over my will, I wouldn't be doing this today. And that's what I want to talk to you about this whole month, is that your calling is calling. It's not just for me. Your calling is calling. And it's going to be a fight. There's a fight going on for your life right now. You know, the Bible says that we are continually at war, the flesh versus the spirit. You got to remember, when Satan comes, he's not dressed in a red costume and a pitchfork on Friday the 13th. When he comes into your life, he smells good, he tastes good, he looks good, he feels good, he sounds good. And everything in you is going to want to go for Satan's plan for your life. But there's that little part of you that wants God's plan. Because you know, when you're out of God's will or you're not in God's perfect will, there's a part of you that's just miserable inside, where you're saying, something's missing, I want more in my life. You know, that's part of when your calling is calling. You have to decide to please God rather than man. And that's hard. That's very hard. But you know what you have to remember is that when Judgment Day comes, you're going to give an account for your life, not their life. And Satan will use people to drag you out of God's will for your life. So you have to make a decision. I'm going to choose God's will for my life. God is calling you. I'm telling you all month, your calling is calling. And you have to be the one to decide, am I going to go the way that feels right, or am I going to go with this part of me that knows is right? And you have to deny your flesh what it's screaming for, because your flesh is going to scream to please man. And you have to decide, okay, one day I'm going to give an account for my life. And you know, one of my favorite verses is John 17:4 in the Message Bible. It says, I glorified you on earth by completing down to the last detail what you assigned me to do. In other words, God has truly assigned you to do something with your life while you're here on earth. So choose to please God rather than man. Another thing you can do while your calling is calling is you can start preparing for it now. You can prepare now for tomorrow. You know, it's one thing, when opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. You have to prepare now. And you know how you prepare? It starts with one CD. It starts with one book. It starts with devoting time with God and making it consistent. And you know, I've heard somebody say, if you would spend 1 hour a day on something, like reading a book or listening to faith-building CDs, 1 hour a day for 5 years, you would become an expert in that subject. Now that's easy. You can do that for 1 hour a day, just while you're getting ready in the morning. Put the Word on, listen to the Word, and start feeding your spirit. And within 5 years, you could be an expert. You could be a Billy Graham. Whatever it is, take that class that you need to take. Sign up. Start the semester now. Don't wait another semester. Do what you can do now to start preparing for your calling. You know, just like I said, somebody in need is waiting on the other side of your obedience. And I believe God's telling you, it's ringing in your ears today, that your calling is calling, and the time to answer it is now. It's not next month, it's not next week, it's right now. So I encourage you to get this new series on Your Calling is Calling. And I also want to thank you for sending me to Africa. I am having the most memorable time. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.